Good morning everyone, this is Deborah. Today I'm going to be talking about my Stripology quilt ruler and what you can do with it. So the first thing to note is that it's just a big square of plastic, and you can probably see it's got these holes in it down the bottom, and what it allows you to do is to cut fabric into strips really easily. So let's show you some cutting. So I've just got a fat quarter here. And fold it in half because obviously if I leave it open it's wider this way than what the ruler is, so it will handle 2 layers fine. Sometimes I even do more, but I find that 2's probably the best. And you put it underneath the ruler. So I'm just making this baby quilt for my friend's daughter who's having a baby, and I want to make sure that's in shot, so let's move it up the table a bit. So what I've got here is I've put the fabric down, folded in half, and I want to make sure that this part of the ruler is not on the fabric. I like to do that because I like to get my cutter in there so I can cut really easily. And I'm going to make sure also that one of the lines of the ruler, this one here, is on the fold of the fabric, so that way I know that my cut's going to be straight. I'm going to cut this into 2.5 inch strips, and the beauty of this ruler is that it's got 1 through 20 on it, but if you can also see it's got these little boxes here, and those boxes indicate that that's the place to cut if you want a 2.5 inch strip. The other thing that it's got on it are stars, and the stars are the 1.5 inch marks. So you really can't go wrong if you stick to looking at the guides on the ruler. And it cuts every 1/2 inch across the whole width of the ruler. So I've got my rotary cutter and I want 2.5 inch strips. So I'm going to start at this first 0 mark here. And I'm going to put my rotary cutter into that sort of teardrop shape that's on both ends of the actual ruler, and I'm just going to cut that through, and then I'm going to go, because I want 2.5 inch strips because I'm making a baby quilt, so I might, no, 1.5 inch will be too small, won't it, because then I'll get a 1 inch. So 2.5 inch strips with a 1/4 inch seam allowance will give me a 2 inch strip. So I'm going to go to where the first box is, then I know I won't go wrong. I'm cutting through, and you just cut through. So I'm going to the 5, which is the next box. So if your math's not good, you don't have to worry about being good at math, because you can just cut through the box. So 10 is the next one. The next box is on 12.5 inches, and 15. And you could stop. You don't have to cut all this up into whatever you're cutting if you don't want to. And then the last box is on 20. So you can see I've done all my fat quarter across the board now. And then when you pull that off, that's a brand new cutter that I'm cutting with. So hopefully this is the fun part. Look at that. Ta-da! And I've got all those 2.5 inch strips without having to measure and carry on. Isn't that brilliant? So I've got this next piece of fabric because I just wanted to point out a couple of other things that are on the ruler. First of all, you've got a 60-degree line that goes across here, and then a 45 that goes across there. So you've got some angles on there. The other thing that you have is this white square here, which you can see quite clearly under this, with this fabric underneath. And this is your 10 inch square. See up there it says 10 inches. So this allows you, if you want to cut layer cakes, which are 10 inches, you can see that you can cut them. So you would cut down the 0 and the 10 inch on your fabric, and then you would turn your fabric the other way and do the same, and that would give you a perfect 10 inch square. This is Deborah. Thanks for joining me. Cheers.